Excellent student, hope you are doing fine. This is Mr. Philip Koma, the excellent tutor. In this video, we are looking at dentition, and this is part 1. Without wasting much of your time, let us begin. Objectives. What are we going to learn in today's tutorial video? So we're first going to define dentition as well as dental formula. We're going to look at the types of teeth. And finally, we're going to look at the internal structure of a tooth. So this is part 1. I hope Kapen Kalipo, I hope you are ready to learn. Alright, let us begin, my student. So definition. The question is, what is dentition and what is dental formula? Alright, so dentition refers to the types, numbers, and arrangement of teeth in the mouth of an animal. So when you say dentition, you are referring to the types, numbers, and arrangement of teeth in the mouth of an animal. You as an animal, you've got a mouth, and in that mouth, you've got teeth. By the way, when you're talking about more than one tooth, it is teeth, not teeths. Nisakamveri ati teeths. No. It's teeth. That's plural. Singular, tooth. Okay. So dentition simply refers to the types, numbers, and arrangement of teeth in the mouth of an animal. As I was saying, you as an animal, mukamomo, mulimeno, and there are different types of teeth in your mouth. Okay. And those teeth are arranged in a certain way. And there's a certain number of teeth in your mouth. So when we are talking about dentition, we're simply referring to 3 things. Number 1, types. Number 2, numbers. Number 3, arrangement. So you have tooth. I mean, you have got teeth in your mouth, and there are different types, and there's a certain number of teeth in your mouth. Okay, and those teeth are arranged in a certain way. I hope you are following, my students, because ka definition akaliko crazy somehow, but it's easy to understand. So when we are talking about dentition, just know that we are referring to the types, numbers, and arrangement of teeth in the mouth of an animal. We're talking about teeth. That tikamba chepali dentition, tikamba pali meno, we are talking about teeth. Okay, now what is dental formula? So dental formula refers to the numbers and arrangement of teeth according to the type on the upper and lower jaw in one half of the mouth. So dental formula focuses on one half of the mouth. What you need to know, my student, is that the number of teeth which is on the left side of your mouth is equal to the number of teeth which is on the right side of your mouth. Originally, before you even remove, the number of teeth on the left side is equal to the number of teeth on the right side. So when we're talking about dental formula, our focus is on one half because we know that they are both equal. So we're going to focus on one half. We're going to say, oh, how many teeth do we have on this side? Because we know that when we find out the number of teeth which is on one half, that number is equal to what is on the other side. So there's no need to look at both. We can just focus on one side because we know to say vamene vili uku ndiye vamene vili na uku. So dental formula focuses on one half of the mouth, both on the upper jaw and on the lower jaw. Tekakamba kuti upper jaw, we are talking about the teeth which is kumwamba. Lower jaw, teeth which is pansi. Are you following? So now we know that dental formula focuses on one half, right? What else do we need to know? We also need to know about the number because dental formula focuses on the number. So what dental formula shows you, it shows you the number of teeth that are arranged according to the type. So it will tell you to say, oh, uku kulefti kulimakena ya tatu. on the upper jaw and on the lower jaw. Are you following? Because dental formula shows the number of teeth according to the type on the upper jaw and the lower jaw. So imaoneka koso, to make things clear, imaoneka koso, let's say canines. I'll just give an example. I'll just come up with numbers. So we're saying that dental formula, what it shows us the number of teeth on one half of the jaw, both on the upper and, sorry, let me say that again. Dental formula shows us the number of teeth on one half of the mouth, both on the upper jaw and on the lower jaw. So it will tell you to say, oh, uku ku left kuli makenine ya tatu pamwamba, so we're going to say 3, and then yawiri pansi 2. This is the dental formula for canines. So we know that there are different types of teeth. So the dental formula will simply show you the number of those types of teeth on one half of the jaw, both on one half of the mouth, both on the upper jaw as well as the lower jaw. I hope you are clear, my students. If you are not, please watch again. But let me explain one more time. Dental formula refers to the numbers and arrangement of teeth according to the type on the upper and lower jaw in one half of the mouth. So what this simply means, my students, is that dental formula will show you, it will show you what? It will show you the number of teeth on one half of the mouth, on the upper jaw as well as on the lower jaw, according to the type. So it will tell you to say, oh, this type of teeth on the upper jaw, we've got so much. On the lower jaw, we've got so much. That's what dental formula does. It simply shows you the number. So ngati tikamba pali ma canines, I will continue using this example. Ngati tikamba pali ma canines, dental formula will tell us to say, oh, listen, my friend, on the upper jaw of the mouth, tilina ma canine nyali 7. On the lower jaw, tilina ma canine nyali 8. Are you following? So you should know, you should know this, my student. And then again, I'll repeat. Dental formula focuses on one half of the mouth. Okay, so those are the definitions that we need to know. We're going to look at dental formula on its own. Here I was just introducing it because, you know, sometimes the dental formula can be quite confusing. So just understand the definition and things will be easier later. All right, now let's look at the types of teeth that we have. So there are 4 types of teeth. We've got the incisors, which is the first one here. So let's find out what incisors are. So incisors, these are chancel-shaped teeth used for cutting and biting. Each incisor only has one root. So again, plural incisors, singular incisor. So aya ma incisor ndiye yamankala pasogolo. When you smile, the teeth that I'm going to see are your incisors. Okay, so the incisors ndiye yamankala pasogolo yacha. The ones that you usually, you know, the ones you clean the most as you are brushing your teeth. Ndiye ma incisors yacha. Okay, so these are chancel-shaped teeth. And what are they used for? They are used for cutting and biting. When you're eating mangoes, you use your incisors. When you're eating guavas, you use your incisors. They are used for cutting and biting. Are you following? So that's what incisors are. What of canines? These are danger-shaped teeth, which is danger-shaped pointed. These are danger-shaped pointed teeth used for tearing flesh, suffocating prey, and carrying young ones. Okay, so in animals like lions, the canines are so long and they are used to carry young ones. You find that lion inyamula kamwana na kamwa. The canines in that moment are the ones that are being used to carry those young ones. Okay, so they are used for carrying young ones, suffocating prey, as well as tearing flesh. so pajangati kanyama sikanapia mushe kunyumba, you will start struggling with it, isn't it? Because the meat is not really cooked, so you will struggle with it and you start, you start tearing the flesh. Are you following? In that moment, what are you using? You are using your canines. They're the ones that are most active because they've got that, danger shaped, which is going to make it easier for you to tear that flesh. Are you following? All right. So each canine only has one root. So the incisors and the canine, they have one root. You're going to understand what they mean when they say root. I will show you the diagrams, okay? But for now, know that the incisors and the canine, they've got one root. So in carnivorous animals, the canines are very long and pointed. Like I said, lions are examples of carnivorous animals or carnivores. So when we're talking about carnivores, these are animals that feed only on flesh. They are the nyama, carnivores. They predominantly feed on flesh. They are carnivores. So for the carnivores, their canines are very long and pointed. Examples of a carnivore: lions. Okay. Let's look at another type of teeth, which is premolars. Premolars. So these are broad and rigid teeth used for grinding or crushing food. Each usually has two roots. So I am a premolars. They are the ones that will come next after the canines. So ma premolars, ndiye ajamina mangalako rigid. They've got tuma bumps on top. That's what they mean when they say rigid. Yalina mabump pamwamba. Why? Because that is going to be very important for grinding. Okay, because they are used for grinding. So as you are chewing paja, you are grinding. Okay, so premolars are used for grinding and crushing food. And what makes it possible for these type of teeth to perform this function is because of their rigid surface. By rigid, they mean palima bump. Okay, and premolars usually have two roots. Okay, they usually have two roots. Again, I will show you the diagrams. Don't worry about meaning my roots. We're going to find out. Okay. And then the last type of teeth are molars. So what are molars? These are broad and rigid teeth used for grinding or crushing food. So molars and premolars, they have the same function. Okay. So molars and premolars, they have the same function. Each molar has from 2 to 4 roots. So if they ask you what's the difference between premolars and molars, the difference can be in the number of roots. For the premolars, I said that they usually have 2 roots. But for the molars, they can have 2 to 4 roots. So that's the difference. Otherwise, the structure is the same. They are both rigid and they are both used for grinding as well as crushing food. But the difference can be that the premolars usually have 2 roots, while the molars have 2 to 4 roots. They can have 2 to 4 roots. Okay. And then the projections on top of the crowns of premolars and molars are called cusps or ridges the projections on top of the crown. So again, you're going to look at the crown when we look at the structure of the tooth. We're going to look at the crown, we're going to look at the roots. So don't worry. What they are saying here is that the projections that are found on the crown of the premolars as well as the molars are called cusps or ridges. So mkaamvera mawedza, they just mean the same thing. Ntuma bump they are bumps. So if you feel on top of the premolar or the molar, you are going to feel they are tuma bumps. Those are the cusps or ridges. All right, my excellent student, I know you are understanding. If you are enjoying the video, please like. Leave a like for this video. All right. So this is the internal structure of a tooth. As you can see, we've got the crown. Okay, so this is the crown on both. We've got the crown. So it has got 3 regions, as you can see. So we've got the crown, which is the outer region. Okay, and then we've got the neck, and then we've got the root. So if you look at this one, it has got 2 roots. then this one has got one root. Okay, so 2 roots, 1 root. An example of a tooth which has got 2 roots, premolars. An example of a tooth which has got 1 root, we've got the canines, we've got the incisors. Okay, otherwise we've got the crown, which is the outer part, we've got the neck, and then we've got the root. Now, as they were saying, they said that on top of the crown we're going to find cusps, isn't it? If you look at this tooth, apa paliko kamunga kabampu apa. Yeah, they are cusps. Okay, they are the ones they were referring to. These are the ones that makes it possible for the premolars to perform their function, which is grinding food. Okay, so now we've got the enamel, we've got the dentine. As you can see, we've got the pulp cavity, which is a space within the tooth. That's the pulp cavity. And then we've got the gum. Okay, the gum yamene gum yamene muziba. And then we've got the cement, and then we've got nerves as well as blood vessels. So pause the video, look at these 2 diagrams, and then you can play the video again. Alright, so let's now look at the functions of each part of the tooth. So functions of tooth parts. We've got the enamel. I'm sure you know where the enamel is found, okay, because that's what we are from looking at. So enamel, this is the hardest substance in the body of an animal. It's made of calcium and phosphate salts, and its functions are, before we look at the functions, focus on what makes up the enamel. First of all, we are being told that the enamel is the hardest substance in the body of an animal. And this question likes coming. What is the hardest substance in the body of an animal? It is the enamel. The enamel, it is the hardest substance in the body of an animal. Now, what makes up the enamel? What makes up the enamel is calcium, calcium and phosphate salts. So if you check Colgate minimum 7, you're going to find calcium in there or phosphates. Why? Because the enamel is made up of those things. So the Colgate that you use, it contains those those things, calcium as well as phosphate salts, because that's what makes up the enamel. So the enamel is the hardest substance. It's made up of what? Calcium and phosphate salts. Now, what is the function, or what are the functions of the enamel? Number 1, preventing wearing away of the tooth. So the enamel prevents your tooth from decaying. It prevents your tooth from wearing out. Okay, that's the first function of the enamel. Number 2, protecting the tooth from damage, especially mwemwemene mkondo segula tumashana tuma bottle tops na meno. The enamel prevents the tooth from damage. Okay. And then the enamel, it is used as a biting and grinding surface. The enamel is the one which is covering up the crown. Okay. So it is used as a biting and grinding surface. So as you are chewing on the enamel. You're chewing the enamel is the grinding surface. It is also the biting surface. Okay. So these are the functions of the enamel. Number 1, preventing wearing away of the tooth. Number 2, protecting the tooth from damage. Number 3, it is used as a biting and grinding surface. However, the enamel can be corroded, meaning it can dissolve. Okay, it can be destroyed. It can be destroyed by what? By acids. So if you're eating too much sugary foods, those can destroy the enamel. The enamel can be corroded. Okay. Let's look at the other part, which is the dentine. Okay, so this is a bone-like tissue below the enamel. So just below the enamel, you're going to find the dentine. So it's a bone-like tissue. Okay, you want to come and bones, but see bones. So it's a bone-like tissue. Okay, below the enamel, which is made up of calcium and phosphate salts as well. Calcium and phosphate salts, collagen fibers, and cytoplasmic strands. These are the 4 things that are making up the dentine: calcium, phosphate salts, collagen fibers, and cytoplasmic strands. It contains fine canals which link the pulp cavity to the enamel. So if you look at the dentine, it has got fine canals. What do they mean when they say fine canals? So let's say this is a tooth, okay? Then we've got the enamel. Then next to the enamel, we've got the dentine. So the dentine has got fine canals, meaning it has got these two spaces, so these two spaces which are linking up the enamel to the pulp cavity. So those two spaces, these two spaces, let me change the color. These two spaces I'm shading. These are the fine canals. So canal ni kanimonga che nikambo. Okay, it's a canal. It's a canal. It's a fine canal. So the dentine contains fine canals which are going to link the enamel to the pulp cavity. We are going to find out why the enamel is linked to the pulp cavity later. But for now, know that the dentine contains fine canals. And like I have said, fine canals due to my spaces utu to shading out. Those are fine canals which links the enamel to the pulp cavity. Alright. So take note of what makes up the dentine. Okay. Calcium, phosphate salts, collagen fibers, and cytoplasmic strands. Now the pulp cavity, this is just a space. It is a space within the dentine which is made of tooth producing cells, nerves, and blood vessels. So the pulp cavity is just a space. If you looked at the diagrams, I'm sure you saw that space. So it's a space which is within the dentine. Let me take you back to the diagrams. So as you can see, we've got a space. We've got a space there, which is the pulp cavity. So this space is within the dentine. Can you see the dentine? The dentine is this. And within the dentine, we've got a space known as the pulp cavity. So this here is the pulp cavity. And this pulp cavity contains nerves as well as blood vessels. Okay. So the pulp cavity is just a space within the dentine. It's a space. It's a space. I repeat, my students. The pulp cavity is a space within the dentine which contains what? Nerves as well as blood vessels. All right. So the nerves make the tooth sensitive to stimuli such as temperature, pH, and pressure. The blood vessels supply the tooth with food and oxygen. So the nerves that are contained in the pulp cavity, they make the tooth sensitive because the duty of nerves is that they are used to transmit electrical impulses. So if you take in something that is cold in your mouth, that coldness will be detected by these nerves so that you'll be able to tell to say, oh, what I'm taking is cold. If you're drinking something which is hot, or if you're eating something which is hot, the nerves are going to detect. Sorry, not detecting, but they are going to get the information which is going to be detected by your tooth, and then they'll get that information and take it to the central nervous system. So what nerves do is that they transmit electrical impulses. So they collect information from the environment, in this case from the mouth, and then they'll take it to the central nervous system, and then you'll be able to tell, to say, oh, what I'm taking in is cold. Oh, this is hot. Why? Because there are nerves which makes the tooth sensitive. Are you following? Yeah. And then when you look at blood vessels, they simply supply the tooth with food and oxygen. A tooth needs food as well. It needs oxygen, and it is supplied with those things by the blood vessels which are contained in the pulp cavity. So we're going to look at nerves when we look at the nervous system, and we're going to look at blood vessels when we look at transport in animals. But for now, know that these two, nerves and blood vessels, they are contained in the pulp cavity. The nerves, they make the tooth sensitive to stimuli, and then the pulp cavity, the blood vessels, they supply the tooth with food and oxygen. By the way, stimuli simply means the any change in an environment which will cause a response from an organism. So coldness is a stimuli. So if you take in something which is cold, it will be detected because it is a stimuli. Are you following? And since it is a stimuli, it will cause a response from you as an organism. So if you are drinking something, for me personally, I can't chew ice, but there are those who can. So if I'm chewing ice, I'll be sensitive to that. I'll detect that stimuli. I'll detect the change in temperature in my mouth. So stimuli is just any change in the environment, which can be in the mouth in this case, that is going to cause a response from an organism. You're going to learn more about this later on. All right, my excellent biology students, let's look at the other part, which is the cement. This is a bone-like tissue with fibers that anchor the tooth to the jawbone. So cement, it plays a function of yameneja cement yamenemuzi. Cement, what does it do? It holds the tooth in the jawbone. That's what it does. It ensures that the tooth is stuck in the jawbone. Okay, so this is a bone-like tissue with fibers that anchor the tooth to the jawbone. That's what the cement does. To be continued, my excellent students. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like it. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure that you do so. So yeah, this is Mr. Philip Koma, the excellent tutor. See you in the next tutorial video. Stay blessed.